All right, hello. I'm back with part two. So, if you watched the previous video, I'm wondering, I was thinking while I was letting the other one upload, perhaps I'll let this go. We won't go through the whole thing. Well, no, there's just so much here. Sorry, I should not deliberate so much and plan a little bit better. It's just tough because there's certain points you just want to pick out, but when you watch the whole thing, the continuity makes a lot more sense. So, yeah, that's what we'll do. If it ends up being a few parts, that's fine. I'm glad to have a actual video to really dig into some of the things I want to just start unpacking. So, let's pick up where we left off and we'll do a little stop, start, and response.
Now, the 2000s, the hip hop culture is still going strong. Still a promotion of, bitches and hoes. It's transitioned just a little bit. It's not, cocaine in the 80s and stuff was a big thing, but 2000s is more about, sex and treating women like crap, misogyny. A lot of rap music leans towards that very, very strongly, very, very heavily. And now you have this Black Lives Matter movement, which is of today.
Okay, before he kind of goes into this other area, again, so now we're up to the 2000s, rap, sex, money, hoes, drugs. One thing I'd add, I find it interesting, cocaine in the 80s, and I think now, I've noticed this past decade particularly, is the more of the drug culture has moved over to prescription drugs and things like, they call it scissor or lean or whatever that is, with the cough syrup and the soda and the what have you, that mixture. And I think I wrote this someplace, this article I never published, but I noted, isn't it interesting that the drug culture in rap starts to lean towards that? And I tried to draw this kind of interesting little parallel between, was it Medicare Part C or D that has all of the prescription drug coverage, and you see this proliferation of easy access to a lot of pills, people digging into their parents' and grandparents' medicine cabinet to get high and get effed up. Anywho, on to Black Lives Matter.
This era, where blacks are saying, we're not getting paid the same amount. Money has gone through black hands. Unfortunately, it doesn't stay in black hands. We spend money on weaves, we spend money on Jordans, BMWs when we can't afford it. We can buy cell phones when we can't pay our bills. We've just not been good stewards of our money. Once again, I'll take the scenario that I mentioned before. I think it's a pretty good scenario. You take Cam Newton, you take Tom Brady. Tom Brady Tom Brady never invests one dime, one penny into businesses around country, Wall Street, any of that stuff. Not a big deal. It's pretty much covered.
Well, the difference between investing in a business and investing on Wall Street, buying a stock or having money market accounts. And also, a lot of people quietly donate. So you may not know that Tom Brady is donated to whatever type of business, charity, or cause. It's just maybe something not public that he may or may not have done. So that's just your assumption, but okay.
Welcome. There are a lot of other whites that are investing. Big tycoons, big entrepreneurs investing. Tom Brady doesn't have to do that. Now, take someone like Cam Newton. Not saying he has to, but say Cam Newton never invests a penny into black businesses or into any businesses, especially black businesses. That hurts the black community. Why? Because the black community is only 13% of our population.
Well, again, you don't know that maybe privately people, who are very wealthy donate, and whether they're celebrities or not. There's a lot of philanthropy that people engage in privately, and they don't make it publicly known. So it'd be nice if you were to actually maybe do a little research on either Cam Newton or Tom Brady to find out that might be the case. They just may not be making a big show of it. And, just the idea of Tom Brady versus Cam Newton. Well, interestingly enough, and I think I kind of alluded to this in the previous video with about a Rooney, Black Panther, and his thing, the old white Kooks or white guys are Kooks, that they're going watching Star Wars and playing with lightsabers. Majority of white communities, not all, and at a very lower economic scale in certain parts of the country, even parts of the world where there are poorer whites, you see lower standards of living and certain behaviors economically, socially, culturally. But predominantly, and we're looking at just like the middle of the bell curve in an instance, at the midway point, most whites live and support each other. They don't have to actively go, I need to be white and do these things and give back to other white people. They just tend to build high trust, cohesive, stable Western societies, predominantly where they are, where they've been over the majority, and not completely simultaneously at all times in the 2,000 or so years of Western civilization that we currently all exist in. But anyway,
current population. When blacks who have power, money, wealth don't invest, that leaves a huge gap. There's a huge gap. We're not building businesses. That's why you have your very, very elite blacks. You know, you have your Oprahs, your Cam Newtons, you have your LeBrons, right? And then the rest are just poor. Everybody else is just poor.
Again, here's another of these really big leaps that he makes, and this is very typical amongst black people in general, but he mentioned like 3 celebrities, and then just, it's like, it was a very 99 versus the 1% type of argument here. But the thing is, this is something I'll come back to again and again. Amongst most white groups and white societies, there's a smattering of white people in the middle. Like that one arguments that people make about why America is so great, historically, is because of our middle class. So we have very extremely wealthy people and extremely poor people, but the broad middle that's made up predominantly of just white people within the middle of that spectrum, from blue collar to white, not extremely poor, not extremely wealthy. That's what makes them them. And with black people, we have a way different dynamic going on. So just having our 1% of very wealthy, you know, Cams and Oprahs, as he referenced, and then everyone's being stark poor. When you spread it out on, like, you know, you look at the data, yes, that's kind of the feedback that you're getting, and there's also just a lot less of us, and too many of us cluster around the lower end of the spectrum economically and financially versus, you know, then at the higher level. But and also, he's getting to this thing where, well, people need to give back and need to donate, need to do stuff. This is like the oldest discussion now in the black race and black community that now in 2018 just isn't worth having anymore. You know, some people, I think they said they had Oprah, they got on her a bit years ago when she kind of said she wanted to build a school for girls in South Africa and support black children there, where, because I guess she kind of, in so many words, has said here, you know, they want you to buy them a pair of Nikes or an iPod, or they don't want a, they're not hungry for an education, for her building a school. Those are things that they want. So kind of at a point now specifically where it's, even if it were to happen tomorrow, which it isn't, this whole, well, blacks need to invest in other blacks and support each other. Well, for a lot of reasons that we'll probably get to, that's just not ever going to happen. So we should just move beyond that.
And no money whatsoever. The ghettos, drugs, the violence, Chicago. You have that, and then you also have Atlanta. The wealthiest, pretty much the wealthiest black state. So it's just,
Atlanta's not a state, but okay. I know what he meant. I won't be petty. You know, the drugs, the violence, the crime, again, this very disembodied, you know, it's just the drugs, the violence, the Google, the internet. These are human actions being created, perpetuated by black men and black women to a degree as well. Like, it's not just this thing that's happening to black people. This is a thing that they're creating and participating in.
You're rich or you're poor. There's really not much of a middle class compared to other races. So it's
True.
Just, you know, if Cam Newton never invests a penny, and that is actually hurting the black community. When blacks don't invest, black businesses, black.
Why is it up to Cam Newton to give money to black people or to the black race? Like, again, this is this wishful kind of like thinking, and it's this kind of, you know, it's like right in this normie conservative type of line. You know, we need to donate and give money to black businesses and buildings. You know, most black people have no interest in doing that. And more often than not, especially as the discussion moves in this area, and I don't want to take it here right away, but think about when you get to certain classes of wealthier and more elite black men. Now, this isn't just celebrities or sports stars. Even when we just talk about normal, traditional white-collar businesses and areas, the tech guy, black men who are excelling in certain in those type of economic educational areas. When Ralph Richard Banks' is Marriage for White People, it's a book that's everyone should check out. I'll be honest, I haven't read the book. I've watched it be dissected and discussed on a wide array of platforms. And the one thing that he comes back to is that more often than not, when black men do marry, they do have that wealth and that type of status to be a part of creating black families, black middle class, black homes. Those men are more often than not, when they do marry, they're marrying non-black women. Now, because this is our interracial video, and I didn't even want to mention that, but that's one key thing right there that has to be discussed. It's not just like, well, we just have all these. There's reasons that these stats exist. There's the behaviors and options and choices that black people could be engaging in, and we could be having that discussion instead of just this wishful thinking for Cam Newton to get in a helicopter and start throwing money out to black people. So just giving back. What does that mean? You mean he should, build a hospital? There was that photo that went viral, I think after the Grammys or some awards season, Jay-Z and a bunch of other wealthy black men, entertainers, producers, and someone, said, look at this photo. There's about $6 billion of their net worths combined. Not one school, not one hospital, not nothing. It's not ever going to happen. And even when you think you get these so-called good black people, because maybe I'll even do a separate video on the comments below this video of awareness for Chris. It's all that typical white normie conservative, oh man, you're saying such good stuff and da da da. Like anyone can say this. This has been now, especially now the past 10 years of the black men trying to say we need to fix the race and we need to stop having single moms and all this stuff. Like it's just talk. They're never going to engage other black men to actually do something. And also, I think cognitively, in a racial sense, black people of sub-Saharan African descent don't have really good cognitive skills to problem solve. You could notice that the house is on fire, but you have to have a fire truck with a way to get water from like a well or wherever to the truck to put the fire out. We can talk about why these things are bad, but we have no collective cognitive skills strong enough to do anything about it. It's forever in the lap of the white man, or like he's saying, the lap of Cam Newton or Oprah to just give some money. It's like that South Park thing: steal some socks, put them in something, question mark, profit. That meme, whatever thing from that. Anywho,
young black education, educating young black children and teaching them that hey, sports isn't the only thing, rap music isn't the only way to go. Then it's I don't know. It's just pretty.
Well, okay, so they can be taught those things, yes, but also that's kind of a problem to itself. You have to actually be. It's like that old school. When they were cleaning the idea of education, I think it was in Germany back turn of the last century. There's these two methods of education. One is kind of maybe more Montessori based, where kids learn by actively completing tasks and doing tasks with hands-on experience, or the alternate methods, like the idea that the student's head is just open and the teacher just pours knowledge in, like just filling up like a glass with water. And it's more than sports and rap. Yeah, of course, that's definitely George. No. So they have to want to be interested in those things. Because then on the other hand, you'll have these black men complain, I was a nerd and a geek and I liked books and everyone beat me up for it. And I even have that experience in my own life. But so then, even if they want to be interested in more, then we get into the whole acting white. Then, with John McWhorter and his books, Losing the Race and Winning the Race, caused the cult of anti-intellectualism that is persistent amongst black people. That hasn't always been the case. I mean, in an evolutionary, bioevolutionary, human biodiversity type of argument, genetic argument, has always been there innately. But in terms of the past maybe 100 or so years following slavery, it's kind of it's warped into this other thing. But that's a subject for another time. I really should unpack that, but I would like to actually maybe focus specifically on that argument at some other time. So let's just get back to the video.
It's sad. Tom Brady doesn't have to invest because there's a lot of white people that are doing that for him. White people are known to invest, to build things, to build cities. They own everything, you know? They own everything. They even own all the NBA teams that are all black players.
Like Donald Sterling. I just had to get that in there.
NFL's predominantly black. White people still own that. So
what's stopping black men and black people in general from owning a team? You get together, you pool resources, you hire people, you build things up. Maybe because at a certain point, this video and a lot of these other commentaries, they're not doing it as black people collectively because they don't want to do it. It's not just, it's like, oh, the white people own all this and black people don't. There's reasons, and there's things that black people aren't willing to do, and they maybe just in a lot of ways aren't able to do. So we don't have to talk about this like in this kind of like question mark. It's pretty damn obvious they don't have the skill set to do it, and they don't want to do it. It's nice to just show up. Like, you know, you see all those guys on the sidelines, the sport. You know, that's one thing you say, like, oh, they should be not just interested in sports and in rap music. Well, the one thing I've always kind of observed is, like, you see a lot of young white men on the sidelines at a lot of the sports and basketball games. They're the coaches, junior coaches, doing the sports medicine. You know, they're the refs. And it's like, they'll go to school. Like, you'll see a white guy go to school for football or basketball or some other sport. But typically, he may also have, like, a general business degree or some other, like, you know, maybe, I'm not saying they're, like, all playing, like, you know, linebacker. And then they're also, like, a big brain, STEM major type dude. But they usually have something else going for them outside of that. And so they can go back to their white uncle, father, brother, just a general white racial community that either, you know, go maybe work at a law firm later or go work at their dad or their uncle or some friend's, you know, mechanic shop, something. And so that one thing that I was thinking about that in relation to making this video is it's very interesting with black men, particularly like Chris in this video, and what he's kind of demonstrating is black men don't understand that, like, you have to have other things going on for young black men to do. So you can tell them that rap and football and everything, and it shouldn't be. But it's been a very good track record for a young boy to, like, spin a ball or grab a microphone now for the past 50 years. And other black men have not filled the void by, you know, working, you know, various jobs and having, like, industries that they kind of command, or even not even just command, but enough of them are numerically a part of so that young black men after them have somewhere to go. Like, it's like black men particularly have just pulled up the ladder for younger black men. So a lot of this whole single moms, when it really should be unmarried mothers in a lot of cases, but that's another topic that I really want to cover too. But this is kind of like, well, how come they just rap and do sports ball? Because there's really nothing else, and other black men before them having built nothing and left nothing behind. And now, within the past decade, a lot of these He-Man black women hater types, and I'm not accusing Chris of being that at all, but now they all just want to come to YouTube and either make these videos and kind of, you know, dog whistle to the alt-right and these white conservative types, that they're these good black guys, and we see all this degeneracy in the black race, you know, about making car videos and just kind of rambling on about the same thing that they're never going to fix. It's just anybody can observe a train wreck, but it takes like an EMT to, like, get people out of the wreck and, like, fix a broken bone, do triage. It takes someone, you know, to put the train back together, to clean up the mess and the wreckage. All that most black men and black people collectively are able to do is just to stand there with their jaw hanging out and just point at, like, this mess in front of them.
Blacks are just like, oh, we want money, but we don't want to, like, work. Or not work, but we don't want to, like, own anything, truly own anything. Just because you have a BMW in your driveway doesn't mean you own anything. Black people own very tiny percentage of land or of any.
Let's just pause there with the BMW, because he said that like 3 times in this video, and I was thinking, well, so if a black person, however they made the money, let's just assume, like, not drug money, for whatever reason, maybe a relative died, they sold the house, I don't know, and they took the money, and instead of taking out a lease or renting it or having a 36-month arrangement, they went into the dealership, gave them, I don't know how much a BMW is, like what, 40 grand, 30 grand, gave them the money and took it home. There's no lease. They have the title free and clear. Do they not own the BMW? I guess he's trying to make this kind of like, we just all into like, he's gonna say it in a minute. I'm not gonna spoil a surprise. We're just into having these things and they're worthless and we don't really own anything. And it's like, I get it. We get what you're saying, but like, so is there not an alternate world where someone just buys a BMW outright and they actually like own it?
Unfortunately, a lot of this has been taken away from us when we try to start Black Wall Street.
Oh, no, not Black Wall Street. This, like, makes me literally insane. I think we're at the 20-minute mark again, so there's definitely going to be a part 3 because we're closing in on the end of this. We're only at the 5-minute mark, and I've talked about this for this long. So we're just going to stop this right here, so I don't want to get cut off, because we'll pick right back up at the Black Wall Street fallacious, goofy-ass lie that black people love to regurgitate. That was like in 1923, because I did a little research on it. I should pull that back up while I'm waiting for letting this upload. That they just keep bringing up. It's been, so let's just for sake of argument, in 1920. I think it was more like 1923, 25, somewhere there. In 2018, we're almost 100 years away from this, and he's walked us all the way through his black people's cliff notes of American history, and we have to then go the drugs, the violence, the degeneracy, hating women, that black men are like participating in. I mean, somebody's, the Jews made them do it, the chemtrails made them do it, I don't know, but then we got to go all the way back to somebody taking away Black Wall Street. It's even right there with this whole black men taken from the homes. This is the beginning of really getting into the mindset of this black male in particular, where everything is just someone doing something to him. And this is key. So the white man, in so many words, saying the white people took Black Wall Street from them. And they, it didn't have anything to do with the suspected claim around how that whole race riot started that ended up in the violence and destruction that happened in that town. So it has nothing to do with that. But then the single motherhood, well, that's black women and girls that you're then laying this problem at their feet without any other contextualization. So then it's ultimately his black mother's fault, and every other black woman, myself included, fault. It's never this black male. He can't ever really stop looking. It's always something just happening in the air. It's like this, magic juju vibranium that just makes things just happen and go bad. He has absolutely nothing to do with it. Anywho, let's come back on the next part, on part 3, and we'll jump right back in there. Be back in a moment.